Well, happy Thursday morning to you, everyone. Welcome back to Morning Musings. My name is Don K. Preston. I am the president of Preterist Research Institute of Ardmore, Oklahoma, and just appreciate you being with me. I really, really do. We are deeply into our study of the nature of the kingdom. We have gone into that study from our study of the parables because Jesus constantly said, the kingdom of heaven is like. All three futurist views of eschatology, premillennial, postmillennial, and amillennial, believe that at the end of the current Christian age, Jesus will come out of the heavens and He will come back to earth in a physical body, and He will rule the earth in a physical kingdom. I had a formal public debate with Steve Gregg. Excellent debate. It's available on my websites. That was his position. Had a debate with Harold Eberle, a Reformed amillennialist. Pardon me. In Oregon. Excellent discussion. Harold took the same identical position. Had a formal public debate with Joel McDermott in Ardmore, Oklahoma, in 2012. Joel is a Dominionist, and Joel insisted that one of these days Jesus will come, there will be a physical resurrection, and Jesus will rule on earth over a physical kingdom. Now, by the way, the amillennial school that I was raised in said none of that is true because when Jesus comes again, the earth's going to be completely destroyed, completely burned up. The cosmos is destroyed based on a mistaken view of 2 Peter chapter 3. So it is common in all three futurist views to believe in a yet future physical kingdom. You can point to Jerusalem because after all, that's where He's going to rule from. And that is the nature of the kingdom that we are supposedly expecting. But I want to call your attention to 1 Peter chapter 2. And before we look at the specific text, I want you to notice that Peter is intensely concerned with the fulfillment of God's Old Covenant promises made to Old Covenant Israel. 1 Peter chapter 1, verses 9 and following, he was looking forward to, even as they were at that time, quote, receiving the salvation of your souls, which salvation the prophets have inquired and searched diligently to know the manner and the time of that kingdom, of that salvation. So there is no question whatsoever that Peter is concerned about the coming of the Lord at the time of salvation. Now, everybody puts that. All futurist views put that. Guess what? At the end of the Christian age. In other words, at the time of the physical kingdom. So that's the context. Here is Peter looking for the fulfillment of God's Old Covenant promises concerning the Messianic kingdom. Well, for brevity, let me simply note this. One of the books that just oozes out of 1 Peter is the book of Hosea. God's divorce of the 10 northern tribes for their spiritual adultery, the violation of the covenant. And God said Israel will be many days without the temple, without the altar, without the priesthood, without the ephod, until the last days, when David would come. Not David physically, not a biologically raised David, but the lineage of David, the Messiah. He would come and establish and restore the kingdom of God. Now watch this. Remember, they'd be without priesthood. They would be without altar. They would be without sacrifice. They would be without ephod. Ephod meaning they would not have the Spirit, the revelatory spirit, the prophetic spirit. Okay, now watch this. As he discusses the kingdom, as he discusses the work of Christ, he goes, You have tasted that the Lord is gracious, coming to Him as a living stone, rejected indeed by men, but chosen by God and precious. You also, now watch this, catch the power, as living stones are being built, present active indicative in the Greek, a spiritual house, a holy priesthood, to offer up spiritual sacrifices acceptable to God through Jesus Christ. Now wait a minute. Hosea said that Israel would be without priesthood, sacrifice, altar, temple until the last days. Well, by the way, when was Peter living? In the last days. Specifically in the appointed last time. I won't have time to go into the Greek of the text. So here is Peter living in the time appointed by Hosea for the establishment of the kingdom. What is the nature of the kingdom? Well, let's see. People were the living stones of the spiritual pardon me, of the spiritual temple. They are a spiritual priesthood, and they're offering up spiritual sacrifices. What kind of a kingdom are they serving in? They're not serving in a physical kingdom. If they were serving in a physical kingdom, there ought to have been, guess what? Physical sacrifices. There ought to have been a physical temple. There ought to have been a physical altar. But he said, no. Now, folks, listen to me. Catch the power of this. Unless God is going to one day go from the physical temple, altar, priesthood, sacrifices of Old Covenant Israel to the spiritual kingdom of Christ that Peter is describing in 1 Peter chapter 2, and then revert to or segue to another manifestation of the physical kingdom, then guess what? The kingdom of God is a spiritual kingdom and has nothing to do with a physical land, a physical temple, a physical altar, and physical sacrifices, or a physical priesthood. We have to understand the nature of the temple of God, the nature of the priesthood of God, the nature of the altar, the nature of the sacrifices, the nature of the kingdom is spiritual. Hey, listen, order yourself a copy of my debate with Joel McDermott where we discuss these things. Go to my website, eschatology.org or bibleprophecy.com. Order the debate book. Make a note when you order it that you saw the offer on YouTube or Facebook, and I'll refund your shipping. Hey, it's Thursday. I hope you have a fantastic and blessed weekend, and be safe, okay? And Lord willing, we'll see you right back here on Monday.